Did you all know that there has only been 1,352 executions in the United States by lethal injection since 1976? That is very crazy to think about, considering all of the murder cases that we do have. Most individuals, excluding only 2, have been on death row for murder sentences, making sense to what Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote in 2008. As it relates to crimes against individuals, the death penalty should not only be expanded to instances where the victim's life was not taken, meaning we should not put anyone on death row if they did not take another person's life. That makes complete sense. I believe the death penalty should be legal in all 50 states, and only those who took somebody else's life should qualify to be on death row. Is it really justice if a convicted criminal only receives life in prison for taking a life? Like I said, I believe it is fair to say that death by the lethal injection is a fair punishment for this crime. Having the death penalty as a legal option, especially currently right now in the 20th century, could also stop some from committing this crime. Knowing that this is something that could happen to them if they do end up getting caught could probably make them think twice about doing it. I feel like we should try everything within our justice system to try and avoid criminals or just, any individual that we know from taking somebody else's life. But is the cost of the death penalty trial worth it though? Even though the death penalty makes the most sense in murder convictions, it does take extra money to convict. Here in Texas, the death penalty cases will average around 2.3 million. This costs more than keeping someone in a high security level prison for 40 years. And that is only the trial. Not only does the trial cost more, but so does keeping a criminal on death row while waiting for their execution date. Normally, a lot of these criminals are on death row for up to 20 years. If they happen to pass away, then they pass away. But executions do not happen overnight or within a year. That is the only bad thing about this punishment. It actually costs 7 times more to keep a criminal on death row than for minimum security inmates. Those average at around $56,000 just for staffing cost. So is it worth spending that extra money? Openly knowing that the death penalty is a possibility for committing murder and still choosing to go forward with it should speak volumes of an individual, providing that this punishment is well deserved. The death penalty not only makes sure an individual will never be released again, making it possible to harm someone else, but it also provides closure for the victim's family. It would be a double homicide for some of these families to see the law not doing its job when not sentencing someone to the same fate that their loved one had. This also ensures that convicted criminals will not try to make matters worse and torment the family by speaking out later about the crime they committed in order to keep hurting them for their own satisfaction. Keeping this type of criminals on a higher security prison will also ensure that they will not escape or hurt anybody else. A capital punishment makes it harder for someone to escape. If you're only serving life without the possibility of parole, there is nothing to lose anymore. If you're in a regular jail, you will try to escape. It just doesn't get worse than life without the possibility of parole. While many consider the death penalty a sin and want to abolish it, let's really sit and think how an innocent person lost their life due to a sick individual that will get more compassion than they did. The death penalty is not perfect, and the system will never be. Is it very expensive to keep? Yes, but is it also worth it? I think it very much is. There's not reason why families should have to continue suffering, knowing that the criminal that took their loved one is getting treated any better than their loved one did. The number of executions may not seem very high, but that is already 1,352 criminals on this, less criminals on this earth thanks to it. Who knows how many lives were even saved by that too.